Good morning everybody. Welcome to this video from the Family Business Book. Today I'm going to be talking about management consulting. So if you're not some kind of management consultant, then this video is probably not for you. However, if you are engaged in management consulting, then I think you may find this topic quite helpful. Today's topic is to do with the first contact you get from an organization, what it means, and it's also to do with what some people call resistance, but in systemic work with organizations we relabel as cooperation. Let's get right into this. If you're a consultant and you get contacted by somebody within an organization, you really need to know and understand the person who initiated the work that you are going to do. And the reason for this is that basically organizations are like large ships. They take a long time to turn around. And if somebody with an organization wants to create some kind of change, there can be two reasons. One reason is that some kind of crisis is occurring, and strangely enough, from a consulting point of view, this can be quite a good thing because urgency is actually perceived by more than one person within the organization. But sometimes consulting is requested by somebody who is struggling with other board members or perhaps even more junior employees in order to get work done and completed in the way that it should be or that the person intended it to be. So in other words, it's quite likely that the person who's initiated your work within an organization, including a family business, is in fact the weakest person in the network. And the reason that they've contacted you is because they want you to come in and support their point of view. They anticipate that you will form a judgment that they're correct about what they're seeking to do, and you're going to back them up in some way. Now, this is really quite a dangerous position to be in because, number one, you are likely to be suspected by the other members of the board and indeed other employees. So any exercise you do with those people is going to be met with a great deal of suspicion. Those people are going to be reluctant to work with you and in some way will collaborate and cooperate together in order to thwart you because they think that you're going to change things around and ruin the lives of people within the business. The second reason that you are likely to encounter difficulties is quite simply that you may not agree with the person who in fact has initiated your work with the organization. And of course, when this happens, that person's going to feel betrayed and disappointed because they have projected onto you a whole series of attributes that may not be there. They think you're going to rescue them, and your loyalty is going to be to the organization that's employing you, which isn't them, and you're going to want to produce the best for that organization. So being a consultant in these circumstances is a very tricky thing and requires a great deal of professionalism. How does this cooperation resistance come up? Well, For beginning consultants, one of the things that sometimes happens is that they attempt to put on some sort of workshop for employees. And they see this as a kind of fairly playful activity in which people will engage in growth games or pencil and paper exercises or brainstorming, and they believe that people are going to get something out of this, and therefore it's going to be beneficial, and everybody's going to have a very enjoyable and insightful time. Well, I have to tell you that this is rarely the way in which people within the organization perceive it. Very often, if you're employed in an organization and you are drafted out to a conference center for a weekend away from your families, in which you're going to be doing peculiar things with your colleagues at the behest of strange outsiders called consultants, is going to produce a certain amount of resentment within a number of the people that are going to be there. You may even find that there are people sneaking off to go home and be with the wife and children. Maybe one of the children is ill, or maybe the wife is difficult about husbands being away. Maybe they've just got over a crisis in their own relationship and she's suspicious of him, or maybe he's suspicious of her. The other way around, it doesn't really matter. It's not a gender-based thing. And when people actually ask for permission to be absent from such exercises, usually it's not given, and that also creates a sense of resentment. So the very first thing that you don't want to be doing if engaged as a consultant to an organization is to invite people off to a residential brainstorming session, because a proportion of people are going to hate it, and they're going to hate you for initiating it. And moreover, when those people come back home again after the exercise, they may have to face a barrage of resentment rather than curiosity from their spouses. Of course, some of them will just get curiosity, and some of them, the spouses, will be indifferent, but there will be a proportion that will suffer some sort of difficulty as a result of being sent on such residential exercises. What about day exercises? People going to workshops within the organization, surely that's okay, isn't it? And the answer is, up to a point. It really needs to be carefully managed beforehand. It's no good just sending around a memo unless you're in an organization like the armed forces or police force, in which special orders are the norm. If you're in a regular kind of organization or family business and you suddenly get told that on Tuesday you can't go about your normal business and attend to phone calls and so on and so forth, then taking the day out is going to be seen as something that makes your life more difficult rather than the organization's life easier, and therefore in the long term your life easier. So this really needs to be carefully managed and sold to the people attending such a workshop. Well, let's think about smaller family businesses, the family store, something like that. If you own a small family business, such as a village store, how do you get everybody together to cooperate in that? Well, quite simply, you get somebody in to manage the counter, and you have a series of small or monthly meetings with members of the family in order to sort out and resolve difficulties. This is actually far easier to sell to a family, because in a small family store it's quite likely that all the family members are unhappy about various developments, or they're all much more excited about the possibility of making changes that are going to make things more profitable. If you're working with larger organizations, be very, very careful. If you're beginning in consulting, well, let me just say this to you. I know you've been to lots of training workshops yourself. I know that you got a great deal out of them. I know that you're enthused about growth gains and ethical considerations and the fact that when people cooperate together, actually life is far more harmonious. But be very, very clear, when you're invited into an organization, not everybody wants you to be there. And so, although you're coming with a great deal of enthusiasm and even evangelical zeal, about cooperation and enjoyment of life, not religious evangelism, although it could be religious, I suppose, then be very, very clear that you are going to meet with some resistance stroke cooperation. Why do we label resistance as cooperation? Well, it's really because the people that are resisting are actually showing you something about the way in which the organization works. So in one sense, they're cooperating with you. And in another sense, they're cooperating insofar as they are seeking to protect the status quo. So they're cooperating with the status quo, although of course you're attempting to initiate some positive change. Anyway, this video seems to have gone on for quite a while now. I'm going out to get my hair cut today, so I've got to leave here very soon. I'm going to sign off now. That's all I have to say. This is Stephen from The Family Business Book, and I'll talk to you very, very soon. Goodbye.
If you enjoyed this video, please take a moment to share your thoughts with other family business owners in the comments section below. You can also respond to thoughts posted by other viewers. Remember to like and share the video and subscribe to this channel. To be sure to receive notifications, you must also click the bell icon at the top right-hand corner of the YouTube page.